Albany Comic Con, and so we have representatives from a bunch of different costuming groups. So we thought we'd get together and answer people's questions about costuming, find out new ideas on how to costume for you guys. So for my side, if you have any questions about the 501st Legion or the Rebel Legion, you can ask me about those. Those are the two Star Wars costuming groups that are over that way, I guess, by the pool area.
I'm also obviously Star Wars stuff, 501st, but any kind of costuming, robot building, anything like that. I like stuff, things that make things light and make sounds and add like that little extra thing to your costume.
I'm Jen Wicks. I'm current president of UNY Cosplay. We're a group based out of Troy, New York, and we're essentially a group that encourages people to get into cosplay at all different levels, from all different genres. We don't just do anime, we don't just do video games. We do anime, video games, movies, comics, anything you can think of, originals, anything like that. And so I'll be here to answer questions, probably mostly about getting started, or I do a little bit of prop work, not as awesome as the splinky stuff. But basic things that you'd see in anime or video game costumes is really my focus at this point.
Oh, don't look at me. I'm with them.
I can tell.
I guess I'll go. I'm Bob Chrisman. I represent the Mandalorian Mercs, which is kind of like Rebel Legion 501st, except we're variants. We take the idea of Boba and Jango Fett and we take it to the next level and make it our own, put our own paint schemes on it, put our own little flair to the Mandalorian idea and concept. And we have just become an LFL approved costume group. I would sit on the council chamber and the Vera of the Falco clan, which is the New York clan.
And I'm Tom Swift. I'm also with Bob here, member of the Mandalorian Mercs. And I really just always wanted to be an action figure. That's kind of why I got the costume.
You want to start with any questions?
Like the scout for Stormtrooper, I mean, where do you get the starting stuff to make?
The best way to start is you go to the 501st website. When you're on there, at the top, it'll have a section for costumes. It's basically a step-by-step thing. 501st is all the bad guy costumes from Star Wars, and the Rebel Legion is the good guy costumes. And there's a couple that kind of move between the two. But when you go on there, everything that's possible that's been approved for you to be is listed there. And pretty much everything has its own website. You go to that website, don't even worry about buying anything at all. Spend weeks and weeks and weeks reading everything on that costume, especially like Boba Fett. It's one of the harder ones you can do, one of the more expensive ones. You can sit there and read through threads just on the helmet about how it should be painted. I had to paint this thing 3 times before it came out the way I wanted to because I didn't like the red. It's all layered paint. Imagine like if I bought this brand new and every year I give it a new paint job and finally I just let it go to crap pretty much. There's like 3, 4, 5 layers of paint on here, but I had to follow what already existed. I didn't just throw it on there the way I wanted to. I sat there with photos and painted every little thing to match everybody else's every little thing. And whether it's a Scout Trooper, Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, they'll tell you what's required for that particular character from a particular movie. And once you start reading a lot and you get your name, introduce yourself, and people start to see your name on there, and they realize you're being pretty serious about it, you want to get involved. You're not just going to make a Halloween costume, you're not just on there poking around. At that point, then you can start inquiring about who has merchandise available, because it's not the kind of thing you're going to go find on eBay, generally. Some parts you can get on eBay, a lot of it you don't want to get on eBay. Get it from the people who make it. Because like, I bought, actually my first jetpack was from eBay, and I knew it wasn't together 100%, but I got it, and I'm like, there's no way I can use this, it's just not good enough. Luckily I found someone that just wanted to do a generic costume. They just wanted to have a jetpack. It worked out. I got a top of the line one, and it's a million times better.
I think I did about 3 years worth of research before I bought any of this stuff.
And you'll find out if you want to be in that costume. Some costumes are very tough. I have, not that I need them, I have 2 little 1x1 inch fans in here. Mainly they're just to keep fogging off the screen there, but they provide a little ventilation. My Stormtrooper has 2 big fans, and I can't wear that helmet without having the fans on. There's no way.
Yeah, my fans are out of battery right now, so I'm kind of hurting.
But like, I mean, I'm sure it's the same with any site, but my big thing is whenever someone new comes to a site is read. I'm building an R2, and not an R2, my own version of a droid. and I see what new people do coming in, and I already know what's going on because a friend of mine has built one. But you get guys that hop on there, hey, where can I buy one? Well, you can't. Nobody makes them, and it's actually illegal to sell a full R2. You can't do it. There's no kits. Pieces. It takes forever. Little pieces here and there.
Yep.
Same with the costumes. Just get things a little bit at a time because it is expensive, and if you rush it, it'll come out like garbage. So just little bits and pieces. But you'll read anything, any question you have is pretty much answered on there already. If it's not, then you can start asking questions. But pretty much if you search, you'll find it.
I'd like to add to that too. I kind of agree with the whole research thing. Make sure you're getting on the boards, talking to people, researching. Because I, as somebody who helps run a forum like that, I can't tell you how many times we have people who come on, they try to throw the costume together last minute, and they try to get approved. And what happens is they didn't read through everything and they missed parts and bits here and there. If you really want to become a part of these groups, there's a lot of expectations, high expectations of what you need to be able to do. So make sure you read all the codex, what you need to have, how you become a part of the group, because there definitely is a high expectation. So you want to make sure you're doing it the way everybody else is doing it, so you get accepted.
Does it answer your question remotely? I mean,
It only took 45 minutes, but I hope I got everything in there.
the basics though, it's a kit. It's a plastic kit and a black undersuit.
Yeah, pretty much. The helmet, you can buy different types of helmets. Like this one's actually a kit.
Ew! Sorry.
I didn't say anything about your face.
No, because there's no need to.
Says you.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, this was a kit, and it came in like maybe 5 different pieces. You can put it together. I have another one made of fiberglass. It's 2 pieces. It's just this back piece and this front piece, and that's it. It also cost about 3 times as much. So it depends on how much you really want to invest in it. But almost always the helmet's going to cost you more than everything else.
And the boots.
And the boots, yeah. Well, it depends on the boots. Like these boots, you can make them. These are actually just construction boots, and then you use vinyl to cover them. So they're relatively inexpensive. I think it's like, I don't even remember how much I paid for them, but it wasn't too much.
Anybody else have any questions?
I've got one, and this is going to be totally different from what they're coming off of, because this is going to be basically a Gotham City-based type of question. I just got through filming up a Batman fan film, and I had the standard Michael Keaton style cowl, made with the
Have that one actually.
yeah. I was wondering if anybody might have any tips on what I could do to have a little bit more breathability with a cowl like that. Whether
Is that the 89 one made out of latex?
yes.
Yeah, there's no breathability in that at all. Not really a whole lot you can do. You could probably get like some Under Armour. At least that would wick sweat away. Actually, if you saw that, I had a beanie on.
Yeah, I have a little Under Armour beanie, and it was like $14.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are,
And
yeah.
it comes down, and it keeps, I don't have long hair, but it keeps the hair out of your face, keeps the sweat from coming down if you have any, which it's not usually not too bad. And for me, in my Stormtrooper helmet, it keeps the helmet on snugger for some reason, just a little bit of friction. But that seems to make, like you said, it seems to wick some of the moisture away and make a difference.
I was just wondering, there might have been like something you could do to have like little holes in it to give a little bit more breathability. It's just a thought.
Although, with that costume,
Yeah.
so I used to have, I made a costume out of that particular cowl. As long as you have black makeup completely encircling your eyes, unless you add in like little mirrors or little pieces of white, like the comic book style.
Yeah.
But any movie Batman, you're always going to have black makeup completely surrounding your eyes, over your eyelids, so that you don't have skin showing. You can't have any skin showing. You can pull that off and on, and you're never going to affect the rest of the costume. So you can.
That's right, because it goes over the cape.
Yeah, that goes over the cape. In fact, the tough thing was back then trying to find a way. I was trying to find a way to glue something to that rubber, and nothing would hold, so that I could like Velcro it to my cape, so it would seem like one piece, and it just didn't work.
Yes.
It's just
I was wondering about something similar though, if there was any like semi-hidden area where you could put slits to like try to like let the air vent. 'Cause I
Yeah.
know there's some other masks where you can hide like vent holes in different places.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've never done that.
You could always try the 66 style where it was more of a cloth over fiberglass. You could go that route as well too.
Wait.
Yep.
And the other thing that's important for that suit is I did it real cheesy, but it came out awesome. I was telling him, he saw a picture of it last night. I couldn't figure out how to make the cape hang right on me, so I'm laying down in my apartment on this big piece of black fabric, and I'm like, oh, I need a half circle. You know, that's clearly the shape it should be. So I cut that out, and I cut these scallops for the bat things out, and I kept draping it over me, and it never hung even on the ground. So it turns out, here's the half circle. I had to make another shape up here for it to come around my neck appropriately, for it to hang right, and for me to clasp it here underneath the cowl. And all
Yes.
that. And the thing that made the suit was I found curtain rods, and I sewed them in to the ends, so I could take them and do that kite thing. Like
Oh, yes.
that. And the other thing that the benefit was, not even that, if I turned quick or anytime I moved, they weighted the cape down. So the cape wouldn't be floating around like a girly thing, it was all flouncy jousty. But if you did like one of those quick turns, the whole cape would do one of those like Zorro, like, oh, look how awesome I am.
Yeah.
Very comic book looking motion because it gave some weight to the cape. And they're just curtain rods. I mean, anything that'll fit and it'll work. But once I went, did that stupid thing, people were like, oh man, you're awesome. It's like, all right, that's cool. Curtain rods, thank you.
And the same thing would probably apply, I guess, as well to any Catwoman outfit, especially, a non-1966 style like the present one or the Jim Ballant one that was made out of purple.
Oh yeah. If you can make something out of something breathable, you're even better off unless there's a specific reason you can't, like frost being in plastic.
Yep.
So.
Exactly.
I mean, the other option I've seen is using battle damage. If you want to invent it somehow, just have little scrapes or something on the actual Batman suit, make it look like you actually got, slashed or something along the way. That's one way I've seen
You go with the Arkham Asylum look. It has
Yeah.
battle damage all over.
Yeah.
That's true.
Questions? Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to just mention kind of like getting started in regards to the whole like anime and video game costumes. The benefit of doing a costume based on something like Star Wars is the fact that it's already been done. There are physical costumes that exist that have been in film, and they're doable. There's many little interesting things you can find put on them, they exist. People who do anime or video game costumes don't always have that benefit. Same thing with comic books, in the sense that a lot of times there's fabric doing things it really shouldn't in anime, hair doing things it really shouldn't in anime, and in video games. So pretty much when you get started in the anime world, the one thing that I kind of messed up with is you want to start basic in the sense that everything can kind of boil down to a real basic shape. If you take a walk or drive to your nearest, Joann's Fabrics or something like that, and take a look at the different patterns, what you see, you can usually after a while you train your eye to see a pattern that goes, okay, this might be a Dorothy dress, but if I did this color and lengthened this a little bit, it could be this character. And little tweaks to patterns are really, really helpful for guiding you in the right direction of making something that you need. There's more times where I've used pattern that's supposed to be the Matrix coat. I've used that 100 bazillion times. For Kingdom Hearts, the Organization 13 jackets. I used the pattern for that. There was a couple little changes. Like I know it was like a double-breasted jacket. I just kind of moved all the seams over to the front and put a zipper in it, and maybe flared it out a little more at the bottom, and that was the right kind of jacket. If you need a deeper hood, you just need to expand everything out a little bit. And as you work with it, you kind of understand the geometry of the different pieces and how putting things together will work. Trying to think a couple quick tips about wigs. My favorite thing to do with the wigs is if you need like a crazy style, using glue is always helpful. But if you
I did that, sorry.
but if you're
I didn't know it
gonna
was a push down.
but a lot of times hairsprays and hair gels won't work so well because the hairsprays and hair gels are supposed to react to the oils on your hair. So you can get anything like Elmer's glue I've used for Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, where the hair is just like sticking straight up. I took actually a cone that was a foam like for floral arrangements that you put upside down in a vase, and just stuck it to the base of the wig and pulled the hair up over it and made sure the wefts were sticking out, and that would make his big, because it was the PlayStation 1 version, it wasn't the newer Advent Children one. So he had this giant triangle on his head, and the Got To Be line is a lot of fun for crazy hairstyles. It comes in a crazy can that's like this big, with this huge like spray paint nozzle on it, and it just, your hair will not move. I had to do Albert Wesker from Resident Evil 5, and that hair, his hair does not move. If you're familiar with the character, he just has like the most slicked back, tight hair ever, and that stuff is perfect for it. You could have shook me upside down, my hair would not move an inch. So.
Site, cosplay. I got sort of the same thing. Site for fencers, saber people fight. Friends,
Oh, cool.
Sabers making videos. How do I get that to advertising like Google?
Pretty much like with my group, which is UNY Cosplay, we're kind of local. We haven't done any extensive advertising stuff because we kind of just do like Troy and Albany kind of area. I don't know if you guys could possibly help out and kind of get the word about that kind of stuff.
Which street is this capital district?
Just like local area.
Yeah, this is Bangor.
I mean, some of the other, instead of, if you don't have a .com yourself, as far as to advertise, you could make a Facebook group, and that would be a good way to advertise.
Yeah.
The other one is
On MySpace.
meetup.com. And just put in swordplay, fencing, blades. Well, maybe not blades, because you might get like knife collecting or something. Any word that you can think of that applies to it, I think you can assign to that, and you'll get. That's how I got into this. I met some guys that had their own little Star Wars group, and then they introduced me to the 501st. That's how I got in the 501st, because they were like a local group of Star Wars guys who wanted to hang out and do different things. So.
Anyways, I'm looking to start this coast to coast.
Yeah, you can still do it at meetup.com.
Facebook's a good way too. She's right. It's, honestly, I've met dozens, if not hundreds of more people in Star Wars just since I started becoming friends with other people who were doing Star Wars costumes.
I guess the question turns to that. MySpace and
I don't know if MySpace has the same type of
Yeah.
group.
Start a
function.
group, yeah, like on Facebook. Because
Yeah.
I found, especially for my group, planning an event is so much easier. Getting a get together, getting the word out is
Oh,
so
yeah.
much easier when you have a lot of wired people. Especially with something like UNY, word spreads a lot easier because if somebody says, yes, I'm attending this, all their friends see so and so's going to this. Oh, I like that, and then you just get this great ripple effect without having to kind of like kill yourself promoting everything. So that's a great way to do it.
We have all those plugins too, so you can announce that something's coming in X amount of days.
Yeah.
It'll count it down, and you know, I
Yeah.
do that all the time.
Yeah, yep, yeah, I'd say big proponent of that kind of thing. So.
I have a character I created, but his costume is really basic. It's just like a t-shirt and baggy pants, but I'm trying to figure out how to do the design. I don't know if I should start with a plain white t-shirt or sticks, like go with like one of the colors that's like more of on it and add the other ones in.
What kind of design are you working on?
Well, look, if you ever look at like a dirt bike jacket, it's
Oh,
kinda like that
yeah,
size.
yeah.
It's got like one long stripe, the insignia in the middle, and then two little circles with like things going off in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then one stripe goes all the way down the back. But I'm not sure if I should like do like a dye, like color it. It's like, I think it's
What's the
or
base
fabric.
color of
Yeah,
your character?
Well, there's green, blue, red, and black.
Mm-hmm.
Black is more of the symbol, but it's not one of it.
What's the color underneath the symbol? Like what's
Oh,
the...
like red is underneath the symbol. It's like blue is the long stripe. Red or green goes on like four sides here, here. And red is underneath the symbol, and the symbol is black.
Is it pretty much like a t-shirt though, and not a jacket?
Yeah, it's a t-shirt. It's gonna have like things attached, like hard, like pads attached to it.
The first thing that pops in my head is if you've got like, let's say you've got your like logos, they're small, you can worry about those later. If it's 3 or 4 other big colors, the first thing, which may be stupid, but just to go with ideas, you keep pumping them out until they get there. Find t-shirts in each of those colors, overlap them, cut out what you don't need, and then have somebody sew on the pieces that still fit. So it'll be thicker than a t-shirt, but you'll have, let's say a lot of it's blue, well you have a blue t-shirt. You could literally put a t-shirt on over that of the green part, mark out with pens or whatever what you don't want, cut that away. Then put the red shirt over that, cut it away. When you're done, you're gonna have a pretty thick shirt,
and a
but it's just,
stronger
but it's
base
stronger,
to add whatever
and you can
other things
sew
you can add.
layer upon layer. I mean, that's one way. There's probably 10 different ways you can go.
Yeah, like-
Dyeing's tough because there's,
Yeah.
I don't know how you're gonna get sections of color.
Dyeing is usually a mess. Unless you're doing one chunk color or gradient, dyeing turns into a mess. Yeah, in a similar vein, if you take if you use a pattern for a base for it, which I know is kind of intimidating. But if you start with a pattern and you look at where the pieces are going to lie, you can kind of think of, all right, this t-shirt's disassembled, and then where you're going to put your different pieces, you can kind of stencil out on the base pieces, and then it'll be kind of the same idea.
You're cut up all the pieces, so now you have,
yeah.
okay, I got this part from a t-shirt, this part, and then these sleeves. Then you sew it all together, now you have a brand new t-shirt. It's just more patchwork kind of thing.
And you put the pieces you need. Then with putting on logos and decals, there's a bunch of ways to do it now. There's things where you can print out on your home computer and iron on, which is pretty great. There's this
Cricut thing.
You can just do it on your basic laser jet.
So I think on TV it's like Cricut.
Those are cool.
You can print out like any freaking thing you want, and it'll print out onto just about any kind of thing you want.
It'll cut vinyl and decals out. It's insane.
You're limited to what's on the cartridges, though.
Yeah.
One of those things that's on like 4 in the morning. It's like an infomercial, but the thing actually looks like it works. So.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. There's also little magic things like Presto Felt, which are incredibly handy, and it's the kind of like, why didn't I think of that thing, where you can just cut it out and stick it on and it stays and it's what you need it to be. There's all sorts of different materials that don't fray that you can overlay, that you can use. No-sew, which is this great thing that you iron, and it's like a thin sheet of fiberglass, and it melts in between material and it holds it together.
Stitch witchery?
Yeah, stitch witchery, or it's got a couple names for it. You always find it in the craft section. Really easy to use, and if you mess up, you can just usually peel it off and try it again. So that kind of thing. But definitely start with the base and build what you need around it, and then you can just kind of work it up from there. Sounds like a neat project, though. It's gonna be challenging.
Just for like because the pants had like a long knee pad type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really hard. It's just kind of like a tough.
Yeah, like a thicker material. For padding, like I did Ultraviolet from that movie, Ultraviolet, and she has like these weird boots that have these knee pad things coming up, and I looked at them because they weren't really stiff, as you said. So what I did was make the knee pad, and then I put batting in it, which is sort of like a polyfill, like a stuffing, but it's rolled out in sheets, sort of like a quilt. And I stuffed it in there, and then I just stitched the designs over it, so it looked thicker, but it wasn't rigid like a piece of plastic or anything. It was just material, like soft and squishy. So it worked pretty nicely. That might be what you're looking for if you're, as you said, like the dirt bike kind of aesthetic, where you have like puffier pieces here and there. So.
That was me.
Another thing for protective gear, especially if you live in the area, I think it's called Play It Again Sports. It wasn't this helmet, but my Stormtrooper helmet. I went for $15. I found like a kid's batting helmet, and I pulled all the padding out, and it essentially looks like what's on the inside of here. And I just cut out the pieces I needed, and no one's ever gonna see it. I mean, some people do make their helmets so it's got all these amazing doodads and features, so it looks like the character's helmet. I'm not too much worried about that. I want it to be comfortable and functional, and functional. So, like knee pads, like you said, they may be too big, but like hockey, there's so many sports things now that look kind of like what you need, and or you can just change them a little bit. You say, oh, well, that's pretty close to the knee pad, but it looks too hockey. Let me trim this off or cut that off or add some other stuff to it, paint it. Now it's, knee pad or elbow pad or body armor.
That's